weekly Football Manager show. Good evening, I hope you're well. Paul here, I am back, yes I am. And we have a full house this evening. Doesn't happen often recently because we have busy lives, but let's welcome to the stage. First off, we'll go Ryan. Hello, sir.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm very well, very excited after an amazing evening of football.
Fantastic. It was a very interesting evening. If people who are listening later on in the week, we've just watched Liverpool Borussia Dortmund, and it is one of the games of the year, I would say, if not the game of the year so far. Fantastic game. But we have someone else. Someone else has joined us on the sofa. As I said, full house. Colin, good evening, sir.
What's happening?
I'm just impressed that all three of us are here, live and kicking, ready to talk some Football Manager.
Well, it's because all of us were alive and kicking, watching everything, all things football, all things FM, all the time.
And I'm going to shock the world because people, friends of mine and people who know what's going on will know I've not had much time recently. And I am sat playing Football Manager. I've been playing for 1 hour and I'm going to be playing for another couple hours. The world is going crazy, Colin. I'm actually playing Football Manager.
I don't know what to do. Everything is upside down.
I don't know what to do. I sat here, I loaded it up and went, okay, I've actually got time. So...
now what?
Now what do I do? Oh, spacebar. I'm enjoying it. I started with Lyngby in Denmark in the second tier of Danish football.
Okay.
They're a club who's quite famous for the youth over the years. They're known for having a good system, producing some good talent around the Danish leagues. So I thought I'd give them a go, just see how they are. They've got a former quite high up player, somebody who most people will know of in Michael Lum at left back. And they have a couple of youngsters coming through. I've got a guy up top at the minute who I was talking about before we went live called Erdgaard, who's actually at this exact second just scored his 10th goal of the season in the league. So woohoo for that. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. This is our 21st game of the season, which I'm currently playing. And we now go back top of the league, which is nice. It's a battle with Horsens. But yeah, I think it's safe to say I am bitten by the FM bug again with this save. I am bitten. They have latched on and they are not letting go. I was excited to play this tonight. But my goalkeeper's just let the worst goal in ever. Bloody hate FM. What a stupid, crappy goal to concede.
And there you go. In 5 seconds, the entire range of FM emotion.
Pretty much my goalkeeper. To describe it, guys, corner comes in, header on about 12 yards out, goes straight to the goalkeeper. He falls over, catches the ball, it goes under his arms. I punch my screen. I quit FM. I leave this show. You never hear from me again. So, let's move on to someone who's obviously cheating because he's doing quite well. Ryan, you've been playing your save, so how's it going? Do you want to fill people in?
Yeah, I've finally managed to get some form of an update out on the website that came out 2 days ago, I think.
Crap, I forgot.
You haven't read it yet, it's
I'll
outrageous.
I'll read it tonight.
So it's not more of a, this is what I've done, it's more of a, this is the tactic that I used for Fenerbahce during the Champions League group stages. Complete change of tactics to what I'm usually used to, the very possession-hungry style. This is more park the bus and just get the ball forward very quickly as soon as you get it. And you'll see that it works because I got out the group stage, and then when I eventually get around to writing how Fenerbahce ended up at the end of that season, you'll see how far they progressed in the Champions League. International-wise, I've just managed Ivory Coast in the African Cup of Nations. A very successful run, and that's as much as I'm gonna say there. And potentially now looking at where to go forward with Schalke. Youth intake is coming up soon, so I'm hoping that some good youth players coming through because I've got a lot of Oldham players in the squad. Julian Draxler is unfortunately retiring at the end of the season at the tender age of 33, which I thought was a weird age to retire, but his choice. And we'll see how the save keeps progressing. It's very challenging this year. Dortmund are putting a good challenge in. They're currently top. I'm currently second. There's 2 points between us, so fight to the death, I think it's going to be.
A fight to the death. Don't worry, just make sure you go for that killer blow early.
I know. I need to beat them whenever I play them.
I'm now 2-1 down, by the way. Again, a stupid back post cross. Hashtag FM sucks. So, we'll move on to you, Colin. I think the first thing to say is congratulations, because since the show on Tuesday we did, I think after that, or was it actually before that, you found out you are moving because you have a new job?
I think it was afterwards.
Oh, we got a penalty.
Ooh, nice. So unfortunately things are probably going to be a little helter-skelter for the next couple of months, so we're going to end up doing a little moving from where we are in New Jersey to upstate New York, so not humongously far, but enough that it's going to be complicated. So I'm trying to squeeze
basically apologising for not coming on the show in a couple of weeks.
We'll see what we can do. But no, I'm trying to squeeze in some FM tonight while I was watching the Liverpool game, because I was working from home today, and
nice.
that would be, that's my ideal afternoon. I'll have a cold beer when we're done and keep playing all evening and relax a little bit.
Fantastic. So you haven't really had much time to get anywhere in the Ross County or the Truro Save at the minute?
So I haven't. Unfortunately, I haven't moved beyond Truro City from where the last video left off. I just haven't had the time to play it. So for those who have watched, you'll have noticed we have made our way to the championship. So we are one step away from the promised land of the Premier League. So I haven't tackled the off season. To be totally honest, I'm a little intimidated by the off season. This is a huge step, and the first step to the ultimate point of the save is almost in front of us. So the question of how to prepare for the season, and then something I want to ask you guys about that I'm struggling a little bit with, and it's also happened with the Ross County save a little bit, is how to define objectives for a season. So what I'm stuck with at Truro is, what do I think is going to be a good season? What do I want to target? Is merely not getting relegated good enough? Do I want to really set the platform so that I'm well on my way to making it into the Premier League? What to do to set that season objective. I think right now avoiding relegation is probably realistic on that one. The one that, when it kicked off the thought that was more interesting, is for Ross County. The question I keep running into is right now the expectation is that we're a mid-table side in Scotland. We go in, we do our thing, we finish kind of in the middle, we have an occasional decent cup run, we don't embarrass ourselves all season, things are pretty good. Is it okay to keep doing that for a while, try and slowly pick up youth players, kind of build this system and get guys out to the nation? Or do I really want to be more ambitious? Do I really want to push myself, which which has the potential to knock us sideways, and if it doesn't work out, it'll be really bad. Maybe I'm in another club in Scotland. But really try and push for Europe to get into the Europa League, try and make some money and become more continentally competitive to see if I can help do things for the nation there. So my question, I guess, is how do you guys start to approach season objectives? How do you figure out, right? I mean, obviously boards and all that give you some targets that they want, but at some level you have to figure out what you want to do. And how do you guys go about sort of figuring that out?
Right.
So I'm a very target-based person. I like to set targets across the whole season, individual games, mid-season, pre-season. At the moment with Schalke, with the board that I've got, they're very bizarre. And they seem, at the start of the season, because of the success that I have, they go, yeah, here's a load of money. And then they get to mid-season, they go, oh, sorry, but we gave you a load of money, but we need it all back now. So they take it back off me. So finances suddenly drop and I have to go, now I'm going to have to try and plan of what to do for the whole season with no money and potentially not improve mid-season. So we'll have to look wider into the club, into the players. Usually I'm very hungry and go, I have to win absolutely everything. It's kind of the point of my save to go around the world and just pick every single trophy and take it home to wherever I'm living. Maybe I'm living in a caravan, I don't know.
I think so.
I think so. With the way I'm going, I may as well live in a caravan. Maybe I can put wings on it and teach you how to fly. I don't know, but
Kind of crazy caravan dude thing.
Invention, why not?
Yeah.
Internationally, that's always a hard one for me to look at, especially when I took over Ivory Coast. I took in and went, they haven't won a trophy in about 20 years. So immediately I was going, African Cup of Nations, that's the next one that I'm going to target. And they had a few good players. They had a player that was World Player of the Year, but then they had very average players that were coming out of Africa. And eventually I just built up and went with my own tactic. So setting targets to win that African Cup of Nations was a long road, because I was manager of them for over a year. And that's quite rare for me for internationally on FM. I usually just don't stick around that long because competitions are few and far between, which is sort of why I've left the Ivory Coast now. I've just given away the whole story behind the Ivory Coast, but there's nothing coming up. Setting targets is long-term thing. Always look, as soon as you take over or at the start of pre-season, what is your plan? What do you want to do at this season? But then also pre-season, where do you want to get your players to before the start of the season? And I think we discussed that last week, our approach to pre-season, which I went on a long rant there, and I've just done exactly the same thing.
Brilliant. I think I'm very focused on what do the board and fans expect. I'm also quite realistic in terms of I hate seeing I'm going to win 10 promotions in 10 years. I'm going to win the Premier League with Bournemouth season 1, because I can find either an exploit or I can edit the team. I just don't see the point of it. I like to have the slow build up. When people say like, oh, it took you this many years to get promotion. Yes, but I got promotion. I built the team up. I took my time. I didn't just fly up the leagues then quit, or I didn't just fly up the leagues and when I found it difficult quit. I battle through with what I've got. I don't try to just throw money at my team. I don't like to just go out and buy all the best players. I like to kind of bring up a youth player from my youth squad instead of signing the free striker, for example, who would win me promotion first season. I would much rather take 2 seasons and do it with my own squad, if that makes sense. Like developing from inside. Like with Lindby, I've got 3 strikers who are all better than this youngster, but I'm playing the youngster in every single game because I want to see him develop. And we still top the league and we're winning the game now, which will put us 4 points clear. So in terms of expectation, if the board are telling you to battle bravely against relegation, then I would battle bravely against relegation. When I got relegated with FC United Manchester from the Championship back to League One, I didn't class that as failure. We battled till the last day of the season. We had a 3 million wage budget where the team we were 24th out of 24 with the 3 million wage budget. The team who was 23rd in that wage budget list had a 6.5 million. So they had more than double of what we have wage budget. And we finished, obviously, in the final relegation spot, going down on the last day of the season. So I think we did well. We held our own. I don't class that as failure. I class that as a learning experience. You learn about your tactics, about your players, and you go from there. I think it's a thing you see all over the FM community in terms of people quitting saves because they're not winning. People commenting on other people's saves because they think you're going too slow or you're not having the success they had with that club, for example. But when you dive into it, they've either won a couple of promotions in a random obscure league which anybody can beat anybody in, then when they get up to the actual tough divisions in that nation, they randomly quit the save and move on to something else. Or you find that they've actually edited to improve the squad or force a takeover at some point. Just random things, and I think people need to stop picking issue with other people's saves. If people having a long-term save, look into it. Look into what they're doing. Like you said, Colin, you with your Ross County one. You're moving players around the nations, around the nation of Scotland. So I can imagine you sitting around mid-table for a good 4 or 5 years until you even get a European slot, because it's going to take that time to stabilise yourself and make it that you've got a squad of 30 players and 10 of them move on each summer, for example. And just takes time to build a foundation in the club. And I think it's all about just not walking away because you didn't win the title season 2. I think people go on, we want Football Manager to be as realistic as possible. If we want that, then you've got to act as realistic as possible, and you've got to be realistic with what clubs can achieve. If you take control of a club like Chelsea, like Man United, like Arsenal, you're going to be battling for the top division title. We know that. But if you take charge of a club like Bournemouth, don't get to Christmas, then think, well, I'm in a relegation battle, I'm going to quit. Because it's going to happen. It's all about managing your personal expectations and just developing the team. I don't know if I even answered your question, Colin. I think I just kind of went on a bit of a ramble.
No, I think you did, right? I think you covered the second part, which I guess to some degree or another is a sore spot for a lot of us, that you have to understand where you're at and the club that you take over. And yes, okay, fine. So Leicester City are doing what everybody dreams of doing in it this year in reality, right? But that's what, one season out of how many of top flight English football that's ever happened in. So yeah, I agree. You get in with a club like a Bournemouth and sit down and go, oh my God, I'm in 18th. What the hell? I can't believe this. It's like, I don't understand what you don't understand.
It's more when people post in you're doing crap, or oh my God, you're struggling, your tactics crap, or whatever. It's like, no, he's actually doing what you would kind of expect. He's in a struggle, he's in a battle, his tactics work in some games, it's not working other games, but he's kind of just doing it realistically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, but I think that's an important it's an important point.
But yeah, I think that's my answer to that question you had anyway, Colin. So what was the next topic you came up with for this week, sir?
We wanted to talk about youth and what your cutoffs are before you sort of dismiss youth players versus, not. What do you look for in your youth candidates and your youth players?
I think what would be a good way to start would be to talk about posts we see on our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/FMCentral, #promotion. I think what I see a lot of is people posting, for example, a Premier League club, and they post the youth recruitment saying, oh my God, what a crap recruitment, and they will have 5 or 6 2.5-star players according to the scout stroke assistant, etc. Then they will have a couple of 2 stars, a couple of 1 stars, and then that's it. And they will basically say, I've got the worst recruitment ever. And I think people need to take a step back, because they clearly don't quite understand how the youth works. Because if they have 4 or 5 2.5-star players coming through with Manchester United youth, straight away what that's saying is potentially there you've got 5 players who are going to be in your first team. Because if somebody, remember, the star ratings are only what your staff think of that player, for starters. But if, let's say that the staff are 100% correct for this explanation, you need to remember, if that person is going to be a 2-star, 2.5-star, he's going to turn into an average player for your team, because that rating is based on the quality of your team at that moment. So a lot of very talented players are getting dismissed, and people just kind of think, well, this guy's going to be crap, I'm not going to bother with him. I mean, when I'm looking at my youth recruitment, I just had a youth intake this evening, and I had a couple of really talented players come through who my staff rated as 2-star, potentially 2.5-star. One of them is a goalkeeper, and everything required for a goalkeeper is around the 10 mark already at the age of 16, which is perfect. And I have a centre-back who, again, everything is up there around 10, 11, and I'm so excited about them. I think they're going to be superb talents, I really do, and I think people just need to take a step back, analyse the player, don't just go off the rating, watch him in the match, the under-19s versus the candidates match, see how the players are doing. If there's a couple of people who you think look decent but you're not sure, just watch the game, watch it on extended, watch it on comprehensive, just to see if them people are popping up, if them people are creating stuff. Check the stats of the match, see how their passing or their tackling is, because they'll give you a brief idea, but remember, it's only one game, so if you're unsure on somebody, it's worth offering them that contract and just seeing how they do for the youth team. I don't know about you, Ryan, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, so I looked at it in exactly the way that you do. You've got to look at your staff. So if you take your team, for example, I don't know how good your staff are, or I could even start at where I started at in Egerton. I didn't have very good staff. I think I had one scout that I would never offer him a scout job in real life. His stats were dreadful. If you have scouting stats, usually you look at judging potential and judging ability. If them stats are below 10, then you've got to look at it. That scout is judging based on that ability. You are essentially the manager who makes the big decisions. You have to look at the players' attributes based on their position. So if they're a defender, they're 16 years old, their scout says, oh no, he could be a bang average player. But you look at his profile and you see he's got 11s, 10s, or maybe some 9s. For those attributes, he can develop. You are the manager, put them on a training regime. I know this is me in training last week, I had a big rant there. And develop them properly. You don't have to play them in the first team week in, week out just to develop them. I know Paul does that, but that's what Paul does. You can play them in the under-21s if you want to get them in there earlier, because even then they're playing with some of the up-and-coming-ish players, 16 years old playing in the 21s. Why not? Give them the odd first-team game. Then you'll see them develop quickly. This is what... I mean, I've got this going on currently at Schalke. I've got, like Paul, I've got a goalkeeper that's coming through and a few players that are coming through, and they're getting towards that age where I need to make a decision. Do I want to keep them or do I want to sell them because I can't get them in my first team at the moment, which is a struggle. And some of them may have to go, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to play you and I don't want to have a detriment on your career. This is how dedicated I am to FM. I tend to talk to myself and pretend I'm talking to my players.
It's not just FM when you talk to yourself.
No, it's not. I may as well get a drawing book out, start drawing faces.
I've just got some breaking news, Ryan, for you.
Go on.
Jens Ødegaard, my young striker, has twisted a knee and he's going to miss the remainder of the season. So I think it's actually a good time just to mention, Ryan, that this is currently my coach summary. Potential to be a useful player. 1-star current, 1.5-star potential max. Now, you go through on the pros and cons, and there's some stuff in there you can look at. Fairly selfish. They say well suited for 2.division football. Now, bear in mind, I'm going to go through his record. Now, at the age of 16, he's played 26 games this season in total. 20 in the league, 3 in the cup, and then 3 in the Danish Reserves League. Okay. Scoring 11 goals, 8 in the Danish league. So in 20 games, he scored 8 goals at the age of 16. He had a shots on target ratio of 40%, which is quite high for a striker, and a pass percentage of 82%, averaging throughout the 20 games a 6.81 average. Now, for a player who's 16 to come into your first team and to get 8 senior goals in 20 games, and to be holding the ball up well with 82% pass completion as well, it shows he's developed. It shows he's got potential to develop, and that's with a scout rating vine of a coach summary of only potential of being 1.5 stars.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the sort of thing. I mean, Paul's just given a great example there. You have to give the players a chance. I know I said earlier where you don't have to play them in the first team week in, week out. Paul's chosen to play him 26 times. Some people may look at that 26 times, 8 goals. He's a striker, and they may go, meh, bang average. But you've got
26, 11 goals in the
11
26.
goals. So 8 is it 8 in the season, or it was some figure like that.
Yeah.
But you have to look at those figures and then look at his age. Those sort of stats are really good for a 16-year-old. Continue playing him next season, season after, when he gets to peak form as a striker, which is what, 26, 27. That's 10 years. 10 seasons.
10 years of first team development.
10 years at first team level. He may not be at Paul's team then. He may be somewhere else. We never know. But 10 years at first team level, he could be a really good striker if he's developed properly. And obviously, he's now got injured and he's out for the rest of the season. That happens. That's life. But keep playing your players. Keep checking their stats, and
I mean,
don't just give up on them and throw them in the trash, because some team will pick them up. And I've done it on FM many times. I've just gone, sorry, I can't play you, and then Real Madrid pick him up and he comes up against me and scores and knocks me out of the Champions League.
I mean, I've got another example now. I've got a youngster who was only 17 when I moved him into the first team. I've just put him for you two there to see the image in a chat. Now, my coach at the start of the season said this guy had a 1-star potential. A 1-star potential. Now, in 17 league games alone this season, he's averaging 7.06. Now, as a centre-back, he is just an absolute beast. I mean, if we go onto the stats screen, this is something you really should use. Go to report, go on the player, click on reports, go to stats, and you can select to just look at the league, look at the cup, look at the reserve league where he played 5 games before I moved him up. But when we go through, in 95 tackles, he's completed 74 of them, 78% completion, 236 interceptions made. And he has a headers won ratio of 74%. He's just turned 18, and honestly, he has so much potential. I mean, Colin, you've seen him there, so I mean, what's your thoughts on him?
I think your coaching staff had it wrong at the beginning of the year.
It's interesting how they've changed their opinion on him now.
Yeah, I mean, so just looking through, and so I have the virtue of seeing the stats here, so people are just gonna have to trust me that I'm right. Yeah, okay, so you're looking at a center back here. Out of the gate at 18, I think he looks fantastic. And I think this is so much the point of it is you can't just blow off what's going on, with your players, and you can't totally rely on your coaching staff. Okay, fine. If you sat and looked at every player all the time, you'd be here for absolute forever. But, if you don't at least pay attention to these guys when they come in, or look at what's going on and develop a plan, you're going to miss this. This guy, okay, fine. Jumping reach 10, heading 9. He's 18. They're already starting to move. He's got great physicals. Acceleration 14, agility and balance are 11, fitness and pace 12, strength of 13, and stamina of 9. Not bad at all. Good mentals, aggression, bravery, positioning, all, 12 or 13, vision 10. Okay, so fine. For an 18-year-old, that's still pretty damn slick. And his marking and tackling, 12s a pop. That's a guy that would be sitting out there in the first team in a lot of places. I think it's better than one of my center backs.
I think, as Ryan said, I mean, you don't have to play these guys in your first team, but it's just something I do. I am more than happy to always sacrifice short-term success for the long-term gain of the club. I would be delighted if in 10 years' time this club has 5 or 6 players who were with me in season 1 and they are still there in season 10. Season 5, season 6, season 7, you start to see them get to the full potential. Ryan has just seen an image of the striker and he's just realised that I'm actually right near the end of my season, and that's why he's out for the full season with a twisted knee. But Ryan, you now are seeing the striker, and he is one of them players who you can guarantee 99% of people, if they saw him on the group, would have dismissed him because he doesn't have a full screen of 10s. He doesn't have a full screen of 9s. He's got the stats in them roles. He's got the stats that you need for certain things, but not an all-round player.
No, yeah, you have to look at the attributes that you want in the type of player that you want. I mean, you can say, oh yeah, he's a forward. What type of forward do you want him to be?
He actually plays as a deep lying forward with an advanced playmaker sitting directly behind him.
Which, looking at the image, is his worst position.
It is. He's literally, he could do so much better, I think, as a poacher, but I'm trying to develop him to get his passing up from 5 to maybe 8 or 9 within a couple of years.
Yeah, and this is the sort of thing you have to do. You don't always have to play a player in their best position. I think a lot of managers just go, oh yeah, there's a big light green circle, I'll just play him there every single time because he can play in that position. If you want to develop certain attributes, you have to look at the different type of positions that he can play as a striker. Yes, you can say striker, but what type of striker do you want him to be? Do you want him to be an Andy Carroll-like striker where he gets the ball pumped up to him and he has to have good heading stats? Or do you want him to be a Leo Messi type striker where he just gets the ball, runs and scores goals?
Well, I know when I brought him up, my first thoughts were, okay, you are dreadful as a deep line forward in terms of attributes. But with the tactic, I'm playing it the 4-2-3-1, so I have 3 attacking players just behind him. So my first thought was play him as a deep line forward because he's really bad at it. And yes, I could put him on passing training to improve his passing, but it's going to improve massively more and a lot quicker actually doing it in a match, forcing him. The more passes he has in a match, the more times he's dropping deep in a match, it all gives him experience to help his stats go up. And I'm seeing a lot more improvement doing that than just improving him through training. So yes, I could change him to Poacher. A Poacher would work in the tactic because we have players in the positions to use a Poacher, but as you said, you don't have to play them in the position which they suit. And sometimes it helps to play them out of position because you force them to learn. Look at people who followed my FC United Manchester series. You have a Lee Simpson player who's a central midfielder stroke attacking midfielder in the middle. I played him for 10 years and he still plays there now sometimes. So, 14 seasons now playing on the left wing. He's now 29, I think he is now, and he is an absolute beast in the centre of midfield. And why? Because he was already good as a central midfielder. So I wanted to develop his all-round game to make him superb as a central midfielder. Because now, when he gets the ball, if he needs to, he drifts wide. If he needs to, he can go past people. All traits he learned by playing on the wing, which he wasn't really good for at the start. Where now he's a fantastic winger and he's just an unbelievable central midfielder. So, I mean, I don't know about yourself, Colin. Have you developed people in a certain way, or do you like to do it through training?
It depends on the player. So, something I'm learning with Ross County is, those guys that are going to be average. If I have a team that's getting progressively better, my average will escalate the whole league. Right, and that's something that's really important. Is that there's a lot of those players that you can't dismiss, especially if you're at a club with limited funds and limited resources. You can bring in 4 or 5 of these average, youth players versus 1 5-star guy. But the other key to it is then you can start to develop them and play with them. And when it goes south, okay, you're not really out all that much. You go spend $1 million on a 5-star, youth candidate there, and it turns out he's no good. All you did was waste a ton of money and time, and you now have a huge hole that you're going to have to fill with somebody potentially a lot more expensive. You get in a bunch more of these types of players, develop them, I like a combination of first team and training, depending on exactly what I see in them and how I see the players. So, mix it up, get guys, start seeing where they play, who plays well, who doesn't. Move guys on that aren't working for you. Bring people in, keep things recycling, keep things fresh, keep competition up for slots. And, some interesting things do happen when you start doing some of that kind of stuff.
I think this has turned into a suggestion stroke, what do we do episode, instead of just FM ramble, isn't it? I hope people are enjoying us kind of talking how we do things, and some people will agree, some people will disagree, but Football Manager can be played in many, many different ways. So it's all about finding what you feel comfortable doing. If you have a way which you've done it and it's totally different to us, and it's been a success for you, then it's fantastic, and I'd love to hear other people's methods, because I'm always willing to learn and develop how I play the game, as well as how you guys play as well. Not our user happy to see what other people do as well.
Sure, I think the key to one of the best parts about conversation in the groups and talking about this stuff is you have an opportunity to see how other people do it. You can assess yourself, understand your mistakes, and at that point, never let a good mistake go, or never let a good mistake go to waste. You can sit down, really evaluate what you're doing, understand it, and then improve yourself, change how you're doing, adjust. Push yourself, get out of the comfort zone. We give Ryan all kinds of flack for his South American experience there, but that getting out of your comfort zone and trying something new, that's a huge step, right? And the amount of learning on different styles and just how it changed, if you listen back over the last couple of podcasts where he's talking, right? Just how it changes that perspective. Do the same thing with youth players. Look at how other people are doing it. Ask them. Watch videos. Watch players, other players do it. Read blog posts. See what they're looking for. There's some great stuff out there on, I know at FM, Samo had done one on what he thought made good players. I think Dare FM has talked about it on his. Second Yellow Card talks about it all the time, right? What are the defining characteristics of their players? I think Guido did on Striker List too in a bunch of places. See what they look for, then look for those kind of things in your youth players. See how you can develop them. See what happens. And you may find a lot more diamonds in the rough than you really thought were out there.
Definitely. And you mentioned a couple of people there, so I think it's a perfect time to just ask what we've seen in the community in the last 7 days. I'll start. Again, first from someone you've mentioned, FM Samo. Fantastic work again. He's bringing people together, more people doing the Versus series. You can check out Occasional FM. Drop him a Google. Drop him a Google. Where you can drop him a Google if you want, but I don't think it'll do anything.
Maybe he may look at you uncomfortably.
Maybe. Just go to @FM_Samo, and literally just message him Google. Then tag FM Central in as well, just so we can laugh. But yeah, drop him a Google. Also this week, because I've just been so busy, I've not seen as much as I normally would, not read as much as I normally would. But as always, Second Yellow Card, he is my morning breakfast. It's amazing. He tastes good, don't worry. Everyone I'm watching, the series is just superb. What he's doing, scouting all over, finding talent. Really good series. It's still just, you have to check it out. If you've not seen it, go and check it out. He's just, it's fantastic. I love it. Really, really enjoying it. Dare FM, his Austria Vienna series, I'm all caught up. Still superb. Really, really good, and he's developing fantastically. One of the best out there now. So what about yourself, Colin? What have you seen this week?
I was watching a little bit of Gendo. FM on YouTube. So
Okay.
he had some stuff that I had been catching up, and then I had spent some time to catch up on friend of the podcast's Completely Chaz. I had lost track a little bit of his Dresden Resurrection series, so I was catching up on the always fun, always entertaining, always energetic Completely Chaz.
Oh, fantastic. How is he? Is he still as beautiful as ever?
Always. Dynamite.
Bastard.
It's what he does. Better
What
than the
about
rest of us.
Yeah, damn it. It's the hair, isn't it? You just want to stroke it.
I'm totally bald, so the fact that he has some, instantly jealous.
Just makes you want to shake your fist at him.
Constantly.
Yeah. What about yourself, Ryan? What have you seen in the community with your amazing community interaction?
So everyone knows I don't have a lot of time to sit and watch YouTube, but
Lot of crap.
I have been reading Strikerless's updates quite a lot recently, and the boss on our website, he's also going to be doing a new series in the future. Go and check that out. That is always leaving me with a lot of laughs, which is what I need recently because I've been ill and I've been needing some laughter in my life. Go and check out the boss. Go and check out Strikerless. He's just amazing and everything he does. And eventually, when I get the time and away from everything else that's going on in my life, I should be able to sit down and watch some YouTube eventually.
You're so full of crap.
I never have time to sit and watch YouTube.
Ryan, what's your Twitter account?
My
What's
own?
your Twitter account, yeah?
I don't know.
It is at Higgsy with double G-double-E, Higgsy93. Just drop him a tweet. He's full of crap. He's not going to watch it. We've told him over and over again. This current series with Second Yellow Card is genuinely the best series I think I've ever watched on YouTube. So if there was something you had to watch, Ryan, it's that. But I know you won't.
I've got to find the time.
It's unbelievable. But I have actually missed somebody. I have missed somebody who did something this week which I absolutely loved, and I can't believe I forgot to drop it a mention. So, go to cdeekyfm.wordpress.com, the tactical annals. Did I do it right?
Yes.
Yeah, nailed it. Or go on Google, type in the tactical annals.
You'd have noticed if you did it wrong.
I know.
We'd still be good.
He's doing a save in Luxembourg with Race in Luxembourg, and it is fantastically wrote up. He's changed it so it's end of season write-ups instead of points during the season. JL Aspie's doing it. It is superb. It is without a doubt one of the best things I've read in a long time. So really enjoying that, and I can't wait for the next posts on that. So I have read something this week. So yeah, that's the end of the show. So Ryan, Colin, as always, thank you.
No problem.
Been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a good show. We just basically rambled about what we enjoy to do. So hopefully people enjoyed that. In the next week, we have the database coming out to manage Bjerkreim IL. So hopefully people check that out. The club I manage in real life. Had to get that in, Colin.
Hey, shameless self-promotion.
Shameless self-promotion. Remember, facebook.com/BjerkreimIL. But that's the end of the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Drop a like, drop a follow, drop a sub, make a comment, say hello. And remember, come back Monday for Beyond the Touchline. Come back next Thursday for more of the weekly Football Manager Show.